Well, it's Sunday morning, and that means it's time to once again dive into doodling with purpose. And, well, we're going to learn some hieroglyphics. So here was the homework from last week, and as always, the first step is to write down all the glyphs, a great way just to practice your actual glyphing, and then we're going to transliterate it, meaning writing the sounds with all of their sound complements, which hopefully by now we're getting pretty good at the sound complements, the dots, the dashes, the little happy faces, the upside down triangles, all that fun stuff that works for all languages. All right, so already we're in the past tense. You recognize the IW, which means someone in the past did something. And then we have our first verb from last week's vocabulary, which is the verb to battle. So we know we are in the past tense and we're battling. And we also see that N after battle, which turns it from battle to battled, past tense. The watermark N at the end of a verb is like getting an ED in English. All right, so now that we've changed battle to battled, who did the battling? Well, we've got the pronoun of the horned viper, which is the Egyptian pronoun for he. So he battled. All right, so far so good. Now the word chana, which we also used that one last week. It's an older vocabulary word, but it checks out. It means with. So he battled with. And who did he battle with? Well, the next one, we have a word, noun, not a verb, from last week, brother. So he battled with brother. And whose brother? Well, again, we have the pronoun of the horned viper, so his brother, his modifying brother, telling you what kind of brother it is. Followed by the preposition of the owl, m, which can be in, with, from, or as, and we'll have to figure out the full context of the sentence and try each of those out to see which one might work best. And then we're going to go to our third line, starting off with another word from last week, to perish. Now, we are just using the present tense of to perish, but noting that we're in the past tense, sometimes you will see the past tense N sign repeated after each verb. Sometimes you'll just see it after the first verb. So this could mean perished, and that's because you already know you're in the past tense. So there's no need to repeat the N unless maybe you have extra space and you're doing it for graphical transposition to fill up more area of the wall that you're writing on. All right, and we perished in a evil, bad way. So he battled with his brother in battle to perish in an evil way. All right, now we're going to move on to SW, or rather SHW, because S with the little dash over it is sh, so shwa. This is the reed. It's a single reed, a double reed. We're going to get to that's or we've done that. That's the N. So the single one is SHW. You've seen this before in a very common word, which is which is king. And obviously, it's not written that way. That's just one of those weird exception words that we talked about way back when. If we were going to write it out in sound order, it would be N, then SW, then T, but the T is not even pronounced. Maybe this is done for honorific or graphical transposition. Either way, it's just one of those exceptions like I before E except after C. So remember that anytime you see this, it's niswa, or nishwa, king. All right, now we have shwa, followed by T, and a hard H, followed by a determinative, and you probably don't recognize that one before, but like all animals at the end of a sentence, they're determinatives, and you always start at the base of the neck and follow it around. This one has particularly interesting ears and a tail. This is pronounced shweth, and you more commonly probably know this as the Egyptian god Set, the brother of Osiris, and sometimes the villain of Egyptian mythology. So this is how they actually wrote the word Set, or Shet, would actually be the proper way of saying it. English likes to butcher ancient Egyptian words. What can I say? All right, moving on to another SH word, we have the cluster of papyrus. So that's three papyrus with sort of three or two seated papyrus coming up in the middle. Usually you draw it with the three tall ones and then add the short ones afterwards with a rectangle. You remember rectangles, right? Kindergarten? All right. So again, here we have Shah is how you pronounce that. So this would be Shah with another A, the vulture. So Shah-ah. But obviously when you have a bilateral followed by a single, you don't pronounce the single. It's just there to jog your memory that that's a bilateral sound. And you probably recognize the determinative of the legs moving, which is a determinative used for any type of movement. And in this case, the verb sha, to travel, hence the determinative of movement. All right, this is an interesting word because we have two bilateral signs next to each other. Now, you do not cancel that. If you're bilateral and a bilateral, you're just repeating the sound. It's rare, but it happens. So here we have sha, shot, and followed by a determinative. And while that determinative can be a sound, we're actually going to get to that one next week. In this case, it is physically the drawing of a necklace because this is the word for necklace. Sha, shot. So, hey, you want to buy your sweetheart something nice? Get him a necklace, or maybe yourself something nice. All right, this one here is a water sack, like you would bring out into the desert with you. It's pronounced should. It's a little tough to draw, so I'm going to draw this one out actually on screen. So you're going to start, you're going to go down, up, around, back, and connect, and go down, make the loop, little loop up there, and a loop up here. And that is the water sack. I always remember it as you should not go into the desert without water. Should. See? All right. Hey, what can I say? I like to make up little sayings to help me remember. So, while it's tough to draw, it's a good one to practice, and it's actually kind of fun to draw, kind of like the twisted flax H, any of those sort of looped ones. So here's some interesting words where we're just going to change the determinative, which is going to show you the power of determinatives and how they change the meaning. So we have should, followed by another D, SHD, and then followed by the hand, D, so we know that we cancel out that second D, so it's just pronounced should, and the determinative of a person, in this case, pointing to their face, meaning, or their mouth, meaning it's something that you have to speak, you can't physically see it, that's what that determinative means. And this is my favorite hobby, reading. I guess maybe they could have put a book, but, or like, well, I didn't have books, what am I saying? They wrote on walls. So yes, to read. Now here, we change the determinative from a man pointing to his mouth to a female breast. Yes, that is a female breast with a nipple pointing down. And this is the word to suckle, pronounced exactly the same, but all we've done is change the determinative. Besides meaning to suckle, it can also have the alternative meaning of to raise, and not meaning to raise like a like something over your head, but rather to raise children. Hence, first you suckle them, then you raise them. All right, once again, we're going to change the determinative, but keep the same two letters, so should, followed by d, the hand. And we're going to cancel out that second D, but now we have a man with a sword coming at you. We've seen this determinative before in verbs like to battle and to perish, soldiers, very common determinative. And same thing, you're going to cancel out that second D, so we're still pronouncing this should. We've had three words pronounced the exact same way, spelled the exact same way. All we've done is change out the determinative. And this becomes the verb to drive away, like to drive away your enemies, or to drive away locusts or pests or, I don't know, bunny rabbits, anything you don't want on your property or something. Maybe you want bunny rabbits. All right, well, here's some homework for next week. We've used some words that we learned quite a few lessons ago, but they hopefully are all on your flashcards that you've been making or in your memory bank. And so, same thing, write out the glyphs, transliterate it, translate it. I'll help you through it next week as we kick off lesson 144. My gosh, we've done a lot of these. I hope you've enjoyed this series, and the best way to support this channel is just share it with others, like this channel, and, well, just keep watching. I'm so glad to have you in class, and we'll see you next week.